Hi, Katie. How are you today?
Hey, Erin, doing great. It's a beautiful sunny day, and we're like officially in summer, or like pretty officially.
I think we're close enough to call it for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it. We're extending it just a bit.
I think especially after this weekend.
I know. I'm like 2020. You need to give us this. Give us something.
Yeah, I think next weekend for the race. Although today the forecast is not hot potatoes, but so much can change between now and next weekend.
Yes, we have learned that in our years of putting on events that you don't get concerned until like 24 hours or less out. So
Well, and the nice thing is because it's the Unstoppable Families and you're doing it with your family, you can choose to do it whenever there's a break in the weather.
right, exactly. That's like kind of the nice thing about the flexibility of doing a virtual or at home race is you can look and say like, well, the weather looks kind of iffy. Let's just push it out a few hours and it's still totally fine.
I totally agree about that. Today we were going to talk a little bit about focus and what everybody's summer plans were and sort of we're recombobulating because I know in my family we went from school and now we're out of school, but there still has to be some kind of semblance of order. And I think a lot of people, as you and I were talking before, are having difficulty with focusing. I know I've gone through my own issues with focusing through this whole pandemic. And focus and stress go hand in hand. So there's a lot that happens with the two of them. So when we feel stress, our ability to focus kind of wanes a little bit. So for me, it's meditating that helps. When I do mindful meditation, it's that brain training that helps me get back into the zone. So even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes, when I'm feeling really scattered, like I can't keep a thought in my head, that's a good time. And I know also exercise is another great one for when that happens.
Totally. I know that I found that to be true. I don't know the science behind it, but like when I exercise or even when the kids have like gone out and moved their bodies, we would institute morning recess like during, our time in quarantine. And they would be like ready to kind of come back in. So it's like there's definitely a pattern there, and you just feel better. Like it kind of clears all the junk out.
Yeah. Oh, I totally agree. Well, and if I'll tell you a little brain, Katie, a little brain
Yes.
thing. So,
Enlighten me.
yeah, your prefrontal cortex is where your reasoning and thinking and where your focus is, what you need to do and focus on. Your parietal cortex is your distraction, where you get distracted. And actually, it's a survival mechanism because if we were back in the caveman time and we were only focusing on what we were focusing on and something that was dangerous was coming up behind us, we wanted our brain to be able to distract from whatever that focus is and save us by distracting
Right.
it. The problem is in today's world, we have so many distractions that it almost trains our brain for distraction over and over again. So we need to do things to train our brain for focus at the same time to counterbalance it. And if we don't do that through, setting goals, and we've sort of talked about setting goals on here before and doing that unstoppable family of setting that family goal, when we don't set goals, then we're actually training our brain for that distraction. So it's an important part to counterbalance all the distractions we have going on in our lives right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that's super interesting. So like when you think about we've moved from a very interesting end of the year to the summer, the summer tends to be a time when we can kind of like relax a little bit, but like we still want to make sure that we have some semblance, like you said, of order. So like what do you do with your family in terms of, kind of establishing something new to focus on?
Yeah, well, what we're talking about in the Rooted Family Circle this month is responsibility and doing chores and what that looks like with kids. So my kids have always had morning chores and afternoon chores.
Mm-hmm.
And we sit down as a family, have a family meeting, and we go over the divvying of chores. So if somebody really doesn't like something, they can swap something out with somebody else. It's a good negotiation and learning to compromise with other people. So we set our chores for the week, and then once they're set, and you do your chores in the morning and afternoon. And then we have a little bit of reading time, a little bit of math time. We do Khan Academy for math. We
Mm-hmm.
have a little bit of writing time, and then a little bit of science time that we do, and then a lot of outdoor play. So we
Mm-hmm.
are out and playing outdoors, but We get those structure every morning. It's the same structure and routine for us, which just helps my whole family stay on track. And my husband and I are both working, so that morning time when the kids are learning, then that's time that we have time to get work done. So then we too can focus on our work. And then when it's time to break, we can take a break and then really focus on our family. And we're not trying to do two things at once.
Yeah. And I had heard something about focusing being, especially for kids, like what they recommended when the kids were doing homeschool was, giving them kind of like 20-ish minute like chunks where that was kind of the extent of what they could kind of focus on, and then really like kind of disrupting that with free choice activities, those things. And honestly, as an adult, I think I kind of follow that same time frame too, where I can work really hard for 20 minutes and then I always give myself like a 5-minute break to do something.
And that's such a smart way to do it, because actually if you keep pushing your brain will become less and less focused, and the ability to get back on track is that much harder. So it's so good for your brain that when you notice your focus starting to wane and you're just not being able to pull it back together, just say like 5-10 minute break, and it sort of downshifts your brain, gives it a break, so that when you upshift again and you need that focus again, it can very easily click on and give you that really structured focus right when you need it. So I always, it's different brain wavelengths. So beta is when we're focusing. And then when we do something fun or relaxing, that's alpha. And the alpha helps our brain calm down and regenerate. So when we go back into that beta mode, if we stay on beta mode, it's kind of like racing your car in the fastest, hardest gear for the entire race. Like eventually your wheels are going to fall off and your engine's going to overheat. So if you never downshift and take a break, you're stressing your body out, you're stressing your brain out, and you're just increasing your distractibility and your inability to focus. So that's why all the research shows kids need to do 20 minutes and then they need to get up and move around. That's why we have brain breaks. That's why kids go out, and that's why everybody's saying when you give them recess and you break for the arts and you have gym class more often, test scores actually go up because they're able to get that energy out. So when it is time to focus and sit in a seat, then they can do it. They can only push their brains so hard, and they have a shorter attention span than adults have. So 10 to 20 minutes is typically, unless it's something that they are really involved with and focused and usually hands-on activities, they might be able to go a little bit longer. But especially if it's a lot of listening, 10 to 15 minutes is probably what you're going to get most retention from.
Yeah, well, I know when I started Try for Schools, one of the things that I was, hearing was that time was getting cut for things like Bied, things like the arts, recess, those things, in order to make more time for instruction. But I was like, well, that seems kind of counterintuitive because, anyone that knows kids knows that if you give them that time to really, go into their alpha brainwave mode, that would actually help them, be able to kind of refocus and work on some of the things, and that achievement scores would go up.
You got it. Yeah, and I think that's the heartbreaking thing when you see that not happening, and all the research behind study after study showing that does help kids. So you want to see that happening. So that's why I love Try for School, because you guys are all about that, getting all the healthy exercise and supporting all the FIED that goes on in our school system. Anything healthy for our brains, really.
Yeah. Well, and it's, I think when you view health as that wider umbrella, if it's taking a break to just focus and, maybe do some meditation or those kinds of things, we recognize that all of that is great because it's all retributing to better health outcomes for kids.
Yeah. So I would say if there's any grown-ups out there that are still having continuing issues with focus, to really contemplate if you're not already doing a meditative type of routine or exercise to really get yourself in that. And it's hard at first, and even my mind, especially when our minds are so scattered from all that's going on in the world, it's that much more important. And it might feel hard, but just sit with it, because every time you do it, you're just helping your brain out so much. Yeah, and I always say too, whenever somebody's like, I don't have time, I'm the poster child for I don't have time. That's what I tell myself every single day when it's time to do it. But I know I need to. It's like a vitamin for my system. And then when I do it, I'm like, what is that underlying story that I have to keep looping? It's not true at all.
Right. And when you actually think about it, you're like, do I have 5 minutes? And they're like, yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just a thing in our head telling us we don't.
Right.
So.
Right, exactly. So yeah, definitely your brain knows best. So if your brain's telling you to chill it out and take a little bit of breathing, then perhaps you should.
Right.
Yeah. Even if it's tricky at first.
I know, right? We're training our brains smarter a little bit, every day.
Yeah. So we actually are all Sadlers are registered, so we're good to go. We're getting excited. We did our practicing for the race this morning. Everybody got out there. We got over our hurdles of feeling like we couldn't do it. We had to employ some growth mindset tactic because we had people who were saying, I don't think I can run that far. I think I see you run that far on a daily basis. So put some shoes on.
Yeah, we saw some of that on a bike ride yesterday. And I'm like, they were like, this is so far. And I'm like, it's actually not as far, but there were hills.
Yes.
So it's like, they're like, oh, but the hills are so hard. And I'm like, yeah, but you know what? We're also getting better. Like when we ride on these hills and stuff. And I don't know if they then, we're like, yeah, you're right. Or they were like, fine, I'm not going to get any sympathy and just give up. But either way, after that, there were no more complaints. So
yeah, once we got moving this morning, they're like, oh, it's really not that far. So I think it's just that apprehension about trying something new and then guiding them through that. So it was a good goal to have that everybody got up this morning and we all did a practice for Unstoppable Kids. And that was a good goal setting that we had, which is goal setting helps with focus and focus helps with goal setting. So the two go hand in hand. You can use them together. And I have to tell you something, Katie.
Yeah?
After we talked last week, I had a lady who is part of her PTO, and she watched us and she reached out and she's like, I want to get my teachers some help for, through the Rooted family and our Rooted school. So we kind of are hooking her up and we're going to I'm looking for a business right now that wants to help match her and sponsor the school that she is the PTA president for. And so if anybody else, I just want to mention, if anybody else out there is a parent or a PTA in the PTA or the PTO, and you want your teachers to get mental health and wellness for free, contact me at Erin@therootedfamily.com, and I am so happy to help do that. And if you're a business and you want it for your business, I'm happy to help connect you with a sponsor for a school, and you will get it for free when you sponsor a school. So anyway, here we were just chit-chatting about it, and
great news.
I know.
Cool. Well, what an exciting thing then to be able to share with that school too,
No, you'll have to come along and I'll say Katie Hensel was all part of the process too.
Oh, yay. I'll just kind of sit in the background and be like, you get some wellness. You get some wellness.
You be the Oprah of wellness. I love it.
Yeah.
You kind of already are. So tell us what we need to know, because the race is this weekend. So what do we need to know for this weekend?
So you can still sign up. You can sign up at tryforschools.org. The website is scrolling below. You can sign up as a family. You can sign up just your kids. You can sign up just one of your kids and one adult. So we just want to make sure it's open to whoever. But you can pick one of 4 distances and you'll bike and run anytime between Saturday and Sunday this upcoming weekend. And the money that we raise is going back to the school of your choice to fund health and wellness programs. And the only deadline is that you have to sign up by Saturday at 5, just so that we can order all of our shirts and, be ready to send those out. But everything will be mailed to you the following week. And we are looking forward to seeing all of the cool pictures of families out there being active together and kind of starting and the beginning of a wonderful summer.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I have to tell you, we will probably be by a lake. And so my children are also adding swim into it too.
Awesome. Yes, that is definitely above and beyond, but welcomed and encouraged when possible.
Right, exactly.
Even if it's just a cannonball and then you get out and do the
I have a feeling that's what it's going to end up being. It's going to end up just being a jump in and then a jump out, just to cool off.
Yeah. I mean, some people always wonder why we don't do the swim at the end, because you probably could use it. You know, and I was like, there maybe could be a secret fourth event at the end where you finish and then just jump in.
Just a
Do
cannonball.
a cool off jump. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think we can add that for sure to a Try to Schools event. Your last thing is you run through and just cannonball into the water.
Yeah, maybe if it's nice, we'll put a sprinkler out, and that can be part of the finish line.
That would be good. Or slip. You could slip and slide it into the end.
Well, and I'm trying to think. So the next time, hopefully, like, you know, we'll be able to talk about, you know, what's next, because I think, like, you know, we're going to be having other events this summer. So hopefully we can do, you know, some more of these, because I really enjoy doing our talks.
I do too. I want to have more talks. So yeah, we'll come up with, because, you know, I think you and I can chit chat till the cows come home. So we'll definitely put together, because you have, now that things may be going back into event mode as far as coming back together, we want to hear all about it. So we'll definitely keep posting, Katie.
Right. Awesome.
All right.
Well, thanks so much for making time for me today.
Oh my gosh, you're so welcome. And good luck to your family this weekend at the race.
Yours too. I can't wait to see the pictures.
Thank you. Talk to you later.
Yep. Bye.